Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a chilling Chapino of Chat edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party.
What was that sound? Why are you are screaming into your mic?
Yeah,
Yes.
You're breaking up.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I have a loud voice.
Yeah, you have a commanding voice.
I do,
just
sir.
command it to be softer. That's all.
Okay, well, I command you to tell me, who are you, sir?
All right, I accept. I will accept your orders, Commander. I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Shawn Sheridan.
I am Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
And for this episode, we're off to a bang up start.
It's just a crazy night, isn't it?
It is. Oh, we're madcap.
Mm.
Let me just be honest with you guys. This is kind of a busy month.
Oh my
So
gosh.
We there's
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
kinds of
tell me
things that
about
we're
it.
trying to balance. And so we thought it would be fun and kind of relaxing to get together with a good friend and sit around and kind of shoot the shit, as the kids in my old folks' home say. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do. We're going to
Yeah.
do, we've done past episodes that we call Anything Goes. And it really is
Right.
just that. We sit around, we talk, we have our cocktails, and we just have a conversation. It's about the stuff we like, of the stuff that
Yeah.
we discuss on this show, genre things.
Genre
Footloose and
related.
fancy
Genre
free.
related, yes.
That's right.
We're
And
not
so,
not talking about medical stuff
no,
or
it's on
your
cars or
No,
sports.
this is genre related.
Genre related. That's
And
what we're going
sometimes it gets
for.
a little heated. We
And
were
sometimes
touching on
it
this
gets heated, but it always
earlier
gets
on,
heated.
you know.
So for this show, we have done many in the past, and they have had various titles: fantastical, salacious, even bombastic. And this episode is no exception. We want to present to you now Anything Goes, the Obliteration.
Anything goes, the obliteration.
The Obliteration.
Dun, dun, dun.
Obliterate.
We're going to obliterate anybody else's opinions. I guess
It's
that's,
like it's not obliterate. Sometimes if we have
but
a
it is
disagreement-
obliterate because that's
No,
what we've just called it.
but yes, I know, but we walk through it. It's like, why do you feel that way? Why is it that Shawn doesn't like a certain film or something?
So it's
we try to get
sarcastic.
through-
It's
No,
like,
no,
it's
it's
not,
not sarcastic.
obliteration doesn't really mean that. It's ironic. because
But we
you're
want,
going to walk us through.
but we want to create a safe room. We need
Um,
a safe.
This is a new one from you.
but we want to create a room where we have a safe guest, a guest who's
Safe
knowledgeable.
guest.
He's like one of us. He's
Well-
like one of us.
Well, we have a guest that's one of us, but he's not safe. Oh no. Oh, my friend. He's dangerous. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I don't like to throw around words like genius or trendsetter or artistic tour de force, but I just did. And they relate to our guest tonight, who is a celebrated, multi-talented artist. He's a painter, a sculptor, a graphic artist, a special effects makeup wizard who has worked for KNBFX Group on a gazillion projects. He's made masks for the legendary Dawn Post Studios. And most importantly, he's a friend and fan of Monster Party. Yeah. Please welcome back the very dangerous Mark Tavares.
Guys,
Hey, great to
You-
see you.
You know,
I-
you forgot to put in maker of puppets. Isn't he a puppet?
Oh, that
guy?
too.
He's-
Well, I'm a
Sure.
sculptor.
I
That's
did
in
some, yeah,
sculpting.
that's covered. Yeah, it's in there. That's
Yeah, I didn't want to read. We didn't have time to read all of your entire IMDb, but we can at the end.
Mark is truly amazing. He is truly amazing.
He's no,
artist.
yeah, we love him. We love everything he does. He is a genius, and he's our friend. And he's here. He's here to chat with us, to
Yeah.
shoot the shit, to give us his opinions. What he's been thinking today when it
Mhm.
comes to these genre things that occupy our minds all day. Do you have something right off the bat that's either a bee in your bonnet or some sort of thing that you've been, mulling over the past few days. You wake up in the middle of the night and you go, "Me-go," or something like that.
Goodness. What could that be? Something I've been kind of having fun with lately is I follow an account on Instagram called Best of B Horror. And it's this person basically aggregates horror film clips, and it's the cheesiest stuff you've ever seen. And he, a little while back, tripped over something I worked on. So I just,
really?
Well, you know
What
what? I'll type in some of my little stories for working on this. And I guess he never expected to find somebody that worked on one of these things.
That's nice.
It was like,
nice.
"Oh my God, this is great!" And
What was the project?
The project was the third and final Tales from the Crypt movie. So they had Demon Night. I forget what the second one was.
Bordello of Blood.
Yes, that's it. Bordello of Blood. And then this is the third one. Was called. It went by many titles, but I think finally it landed on Ritual. I believe.
I didn't even know there was a third one. I thought it was just the first two.
Yeah, this was a contractual obligation movie. I recall.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And it was being produced by, I think the at the time, the reinvigorated RKO Pictures. Which is weird because we were on set and Dina Merrill shows up with somebody. She's like, "Oh, I guess she was a producer partner in the project. Hi, I'm Dina." And it's like, "Oh my God, you're Dina Merrill." It's like, and, she wasn't used to anybody recognizing her, I don't think, or whatever. But
No.
The story had centered around Jamaican voodoo and starred Jennifer Grey and I think is it Craig Sheffer? Who's the
Craig Sheffer from
Nightbreed?
Nightbreed, yeah.
And he was in it, and it was just a bizarre thing. K&B had to do. There's a character actor named Eric Avari who he's been in a gazillion things, and so we did full castings on him, and he succumbs to some voodoo something. I have no idea what the plot is beyond. It has to do with voodoo. And he's a scientist, and he melts at one point. Something happens in his lab. And
Always good. Always good.
But I got to tell him some little stories about working on a Jamaican plantation and a ghost story we'd experienced while we were there. And the set was cursed. That was the other thing that was kind of fun to tell that story.
Who decides that something is cursed?
The locals. All the locals were pissed off at us, I think, and
really?
"Oh, the set is cursed." And one of the guys who did special effects, like the explosions and wind machines, things like that, because it's so hot and humid there, everybody was in shorts, wearing the least amount of clothes they could get away with. And this guy was in like tank top, shorts, and sandals. And he was walking one night around the set, and it was hills and in the middle of the jungle. And he trips and falls down this short hill. And he gets up and he's fine, but then they inform him that basically he had just rolled through a patch of, I think they called it like fireweed or something, of really potent kind of, poison oak, poison ivy kind of thing. And sure enough, he started breaking out in the worst. It was like a makeup effect. Wow. And they actually had to fly him back to the States for treatment. It was that bad. Wow. And everybody started freaking out. Oh, it's a curse. So they actually brought a priestess in to smudge the set. And so she did the thing and whatnot, and everything was fine after that. So I think the money was paid out to people too. It's like
did the locals like pull some kind of Scooby-Doo bullshit? Like, they try to make it look like a ghost was haunting the set to scare off.
Right. They didn't have to. I mean, the place was creepy enough as it was, because we always shot at night, and the roads were absolutely horrible to get around. We were in a Holiday Inn resort. That's where they kept the crew. That was probably 15 minutes away from the location, and it took us easily an hour to get there because once you go off the main road, everything's huge potholes.
Yeah,
and so the van just has to take it very slowly. And that was the source of the ghost story that we had, where it was Howard Berger, K&B owner Howard Berger, makeup artist named Christopher Nelson. Oscar winner Christopher Nelson now, and me, was the three of us. And so we had some time to kill, and we went off to another part of the location on the plantation to visit another setup there.
And this is nighttime?
This is nighttime.
Nighttime.
And so we had to walk down this road, which again had the giant potholes. And then we took a little left turn to get up to this house where they were shooting. And then when we were done with that, we came back down and we're heading towards the road to walk back. There are no street lights. Everything is illuminated by moonlight.
My gosh.
And so Howard is walking between the two of us, and he's blathering on about something, so he's not paying attention. And I see this shadowy figure, again, moonlight, zipping by. It looked like he was on a 10-speed bike. And I actually heard that click, 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 click that the gears make when you're just coasting and you're not pedaling. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, oh, it's a bicyclist. But man, he's going really fast for this pothole road. And by the time we got down to the base, we're at the road. I asked Chris, did you see that? He's like, you mean the bike rider that just went by? And I looked down the road, and you can see, because of the moonlight, way down the road, there's no way that this guy, I mean, he just disappeared. There was no other, a roadway off the main drag other than what we were on. So I don't know what happened.
So it's like a haunted bicyclist ghost.
This is like the horror version of Breaking Away.
Yeah. Wow.
Fun. Yeah. Right.
But this is the part that always, when I hear a ghost story, and this is not in any way poo-pooing what you experienced.
No.
It's just a question that I have about the afterlife, which is that a ghost is like, I got to go get my bike. You know what I mean? Like I'm in my ghost realm. I got to get on my bike, and I'm going to take a little ride, and there's some mortals. Hi, mortals. Yeah. And then I don't know where he went to, but I'm assuming then he'd have to, I mean, depending, it's Jamaica. I don't know how much crime there is or bike thievery, but I'm sure he would lock up his bike with a ghost lock, right?
You would think, right? Yeah.
But I think that idea, Matt, behind it is like, at least what I hear a lot is that theories is that if somebody died unexpectedly or violently in that spot where that happened, those spirits simply can't move on because it was such a horrible death. So they just can't keep reliving the moments before their death over and over. And their spirit was stuck there in that spot because it was such a,
he hit one of those.
Maybe he was hit by a car. Maybe he was hit by a car, by a bicycle.
Or if you were in the bathtub and someone threw a toaster in the bathtub, and then you're a ghost and you have to walk around carrying a toaster or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be good.
So who knows?
What was that movie with, what was it, Liam Neeson and Steve Guttenberg or something back in the 80s? Was it High Spirits or?
Oh yeah.
That was a weird. Yeah, Daryl Hannah and
Peter O'Toole. Remember that?
Peter O'Toole. Yeah,
it was like that same thing where the characters were reliving that.
I think so. Yeah, it was like a weird, like big budget kind of horror comedy fantasy that didn't do well. But I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I love the British version of Ghost, that TV show.
God. Yep.
It's brilliant. I'm not a fan of the American one. I think they ruined a lot of the characters. And one character they got rid of, which I thought was genius, was the caveman.
Yeah. Oh.
In the British ghost sitcom, there's a caveman. And I love the fact that there's a caveman finally. You never see ghost caveman.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Why is that?
And I'm sure they've died violently.
Sure.
Over their brief lifetimes.
Sure.
Yeah, where's the ghost of like a guy running with a saber-toothed tiger chomping on his ass?
Exactly.
Well, isn't it? It's like after a period of time, he's all, I don't want to see anymore. He fizzles out.
I'm done being a ghost.
I've had it.
I've had this.
I am ready to move on now.
Or
you people just don't care.
Or think about it. The cavemen, when they're around, I mean, they're around for a while. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So but it's like, what, you think this ghost's going to hang around for the Roman Empire and the Middle Ages?
Well, if he's a troubled spirit,
if he can't move on,
find his place. He's in limbo. He can be in limbo for eternity, can't you? Isn't that the idea?
Maybe the image of the ghost gets fuzzy over time. It's like when you copy something again and again and again, because there are those ghosts that people see, like especially in like ghost photography. It's like a big glowing orb or something like that. Maybe that's the caveman. It's just like, hey, I'm a caveman. The resolution is really bad.
Did the caveman do like tumak akabu waka? Did he have like caveman talk, or did
I'm sure one of them was named
Tumak?
Tumak.
Everyone, how are you?
I am Tumak.
Did he speak English?
Yeah, kind of.
Now that's just not realistic.
No. It was great. It was great.
Oh, it was great.
Mark, in the show Ghost, wasn't that character wonderful?
He's possibly the best
The
character.
best character.
And that's really saying something because they are all so well developed and interesting characters.
Yes.
I've not seen this show. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And the caveman, the fact that he was there before the house was.
Yes, which is amazing. Yeah. And I love how he is able to actually, without spoiling anything for you guys or any of your listeners who haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. But
Yes.
he provides clarity to certain situations because he's been there before everybody else.
Yes.
Right,
So
right.
He's seen things that other people may not have seen or from different angles. And it's absolutely
It's
amazing.
so good.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
interesting. I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
So this was a British show before it was an American show.
correct.
That's correct. Yes. It's the
And
people
how
that
does
did
it
horrible histories. It's that group of comedic
Oh, okay.
actors
Right.
who do this show. And you know how like in the American version, there's a pretty out gay character.
Mhm.
Whereas in the British show, it's a closeted gay guy who's in the
Mhm.
military. And that's
Which
so
causes
much
more drama and
better.
conflict. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
So much better. But
it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it goes by the tried and true tradition of American versions watering down something good.
it's doing well,
Yeah.
though. I know that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The American version. Okay.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, something like All in the Family was a take on a British sitcom,
True.
right? And that was successful. So you never know. I mean, sometimes
Yeah, that's true. That's
it's
true.
rare, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Thanks to bring it back to genre content,
Oh,
James. Nothing
All in,
says
the,
genre
all
like.
in the space family.
yeah. It was that zombie episode, right?
They should have mixed that show with Lost in Space. All in the Space Family Robinson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's a crossover.
Yeah. And Dr. Smith is just this racist.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, come on.
And then you hear the flush of the toilet and him coming down the stairs of the ship.
The first time a toilet flush was heard on a sci-fi show. Fact.
Where's that in Star Trek?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, really.
You hear
No,
a flush and then
no,
Picard
no.
comes out. You know?
See, that's
Yeah,
where
but you'd be
you're
like,
wrong. No, see, you guys think with like your like 2023 minds. You don't realize that Star Trek takes place in the future. They don't have water flushing out of the
Right.
toilet.
Well, that's
They
why
use-
Sean made the laser sound because
Yeah,
that's
it's
probably
like
what
yes,
would
that's
happen.
how you
right?
flush it. When you flush, it goes.
Okay. I've said this before, but now I have to say it again because this opportunity doesn't come up enough.
Okay.
What did Spock see floating in the toilet?
I don't.
Guys,
What?
You don't remember?
This,
You don't remember?
You said this before. It
Yes.
sounds familiar. I didn't
Let me
It's
remember.
tell
like
you,
that. It's like a kid's
punchline.
joke. It's
Let me
like
tell you, James.
It's really.
Oh, right. I know.
Klingons floating around Uranus
No,
or
no,
something like that. Or
Larry, go
No.
ahead.
Go ahead, Mark.
The captain's log?
Yes.
the captain's. Oh, there we go. There
So
we go.
you waited
That's
all this
that's the
time.
extent of James's knowledge of
All
Star
this
Trek.
time you've been waiting for this pathetic joke.
Oh,
Are you
that's a good
no, are
joke.
you
That's a good
serious?
joke.
Are you serious?
That's a
He tells it
classic.
well.
That is a yeah.
He tells it well? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
You should have your brain
That's
examined.
that's a Star Trek TOJ, the original joke.
Oh,
Wow.
What was the one where it's like Klingons
On
around
Uranus?
Uranus? What was that?
Circling Uranus.
Yeah, I forget what that. That was the
Yeah.
first one I heard.
Well, this is great, James. Thanks for bringing that up.
You know what?
I
This is all
wanted
very
to-
important.
No,
Oh.
it's
There
funny.
should be more, at least a reference to a toilet on the Enterprise or one of those starships. Someone should say like, "Hey, the laser's not working in toilet 63."
Right.
We had a little discussion about this way back when with a wonderful guest, Sue Murphy, if you recall, about, I think it was like futuristic stuff that may not work right or something like that. And I brought up the holodeck, how it's
Right.
like, there's a lot of gross, sick stuff going on in the holodeck. And who's that guy who's got to clean the holodeck after Worf's been there? Comes out, the guy's all, oh man, Worf was in there for an hour. Oh, I gotta clean that up. And, like, who's the holodeck cleaner? And don't tell me it's like, well, you just press a button. I'm sure there's like
of course.
mucus and stuff like
Yeah, but they-
nooks
but
and
they-
crannies.
yeah, but it's like easy
it's
off.
like, or it's like
like using easy off.
nanobots can take care of it. Yeah. They clean it all up.
Come on.
Sean,
No, there's
Sean,
not. There's not.
you
there's
don't
not a
think
guy, there's not a guy named. There's not an old guy with a big broom and
Yeah.
a mop.
Yeah.
See, don't you think someone has that job? Your job is you're a holodeck guy. You got to check the holodeck.
I'm sure there's several holodeck maintenance guys, but they use the technology of the time. If you can make a holodeck where you're interacting with physical objects moving around, then you
All
can
over the
find a way to
place.
clean a holodeck.
Oh,
Yes.
really? You
Yeah.
don't
Why
think that
are
there's
you saying that in a way
wait a
like
minute.
you know?
You think it's janitors
how
on the
holodecks
Enterprise
work.
Do you
with
think so?
mops?
So do you think the people at Google with all those machines, it's like, oh, we have like lasers going. There's some little old guy with a little dust pan or a little dust mop clean the dust off the
because that's
machines and stuff
present
like
day.
That's
It's not
present
the
day. You're
Star
the
Trek
one.
future where
And
there's
You're the
nobody
one who
cracks on
was
their
just
computers at
lecturing us.
Google.
and we can beam people to other planets. So I think they figured out a way to clean things without using a mop.
I want to know what our
Being
guest
the dirt.
thinks.
I was just about to say, Mark, you were going to say something here.
I would just, and my thing is, here in our current time, we have public restrooms on the street, those porta potty looking
Right?
things. That
Yeah.
drop the money into, you go in, you do your thing. When you come out, the door seals again, and it sprays down the entire inside of the thing.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
if we're able to do that now,
Right.
yes, I fully think, yes.
Okay,
that-
Mark,
Now-
where is that restroom? Because I'd like to use that one.
You know what?
I
Bet
haven't seen that. I haven't found that one, Mark.
Larry, you should find one and do a little Patreon segment. It's like, hey, I'm going to use this new futuristic porta potty. Watch. Our Patreon fans would love that.
See,
$5 a
now,
month. $5
okay,
a month.
now see, Sean's being just silly now.
Oh,
But I will say this about the holodeck. I'll bet you that as some kind of like initiation prank to the new crewmen that come on board, somebody, of a higher rank goes, hey, you know what? This week it's your job to clean the holodeck. And they program the world's most fucked up holodeck set,
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's got to chip stuff off and he's got to
Right.
mop and
Yeah.
I mean, if I were an upperclassman or whatever, a lieutenant, and I wanted to give my my underlings a hard time, that'd be a pretty original idea.
amazing. Yeah.
So if you're just tuning in, the topic is anything goes. Where it's like we're just talking about a slew of interesting, funky things that
Futuristic
we have on our mind.
scatological technology.
Speaking of Star Trek, I'm just curious, Mark, have you watched
Yes.
Picard?
I have, and I have enjoyed it immensely, but I understand where some may not because it is a huge nostalgia fest this final season. But I was actually going to bring up something about that in relation to the previous discussion we were just having about I don't think the holodeck is the problem. They've well, let's just say carpets have become a thing again in Star Trek. And I don't want to spoil it again for anyone who hasn't seen
No,
it
Yeah,
yet.
I haven't seen this latest.
It almost
season.
brought a tear to my eye.
Me too. I was really impressed by what they did and the associated Ready Room episode that Will Wheaton did with Mike Okuda. Same thing, was like, wow, you guys really went all out.
So
But think about that back in the day on Next Generation. Yeah, you had the holodeck, but the bridge was carpet. I mean, I think all the hallways too were all carpet
Yeah,
lined.
You're right, actually. Yeah, you're right.
So there's the job you didn't want. You've got a ship with 1,500 people. I mean, it's the size. It's
But
like,
but
But
they
it's
probably have
future.
like they probably have a very futuristic Roomba kind of like technology. I'm saying like there's a machine
Yeah.
that goes through down
Sean.
every hallway. Come on.
No, they have
Sean, think bigger. Think bigger.
they have a
It's
microfiber.
It's future carpet.
Yep.
I think
Futuristic
yeah, sure.
microfiber.
Yeah, but
Sean,
still, if there's a
resistant.
fight, if there's a fight in the hallway and somebody falls down and bleeds on the carpet, I mean,
It doesn't stain it. It doesn't.
But
It's
you see,
future
I
carpet.
think Sean thinks that the future is going to be like in the film Wall-E, where humans don't do anything and they just eat and get really fat. Except if Sean were there, he'd be skinny, unlike everybody else, because he doesn't gain weight.
I'm from the
Why is it
future.
suddenly turning from Star Trek to an attack on Sean's belt
How am I not
model-like
surprised?
body?
Because he thinks that in the future everything will be taken care of for us. You
A
won't
lot
have to
of
do
it will
any
be.
gross work.
But I just want to say, is there or is there not a replicator on the ship that makes stuff so you don't have to?
Yeah, anything.
Mhm.
So if we can do
Larry?
that, we can't figure out a way to clean rugs, but we can make
Right.
food. We can make food and drink out of nothing. Anything.
Why do you hate Star Trek,
Anything.
Larry?
There's always going to be something, as we advance, everyone thinks that, oh, it's going to be so great. We won't have this problem. There'll be another problem dealing with poop or food.
Well, there's always a problem.
And so you think, so that little machine is going to scroll down the nice carpet of the Enterprise and go, oh, someone left their piece of gum, stuck their piece of gum here on the wall, and it will automatically be able to get rid of it and stuff.
Well, then, Larry, how do you envision the carpets of the future in Star Trek being cleaned?
I do hope that there will be carpets, because I, for one, do like a nice carpet. I do. I'm not one of these people that likes, your home all, just stone or cement or
I like rugs.
tile.
Yeah.
Are you a rug guy?
I like rugs because I just think back, growing up with carpets, there was always a thing that creeped me out a little bit about them because you never knew what was in them. And like, you'd be sitting on the carpet and all of a sudden you'd go like, oh, here's a jelly bean from 3 Easters ago. Or like, what else is in this thing?
Those thick shag carpets. Yeah.
Yeah. But James, you were talking about it seemed like you had a theory about these future carpets.
Futuristic microfiber self-cleaning carpets. I mean,
self-cleaning.
Self-cleaning. Why not?
How do you see the self-cleaning working?
I'm no chemist. I'm no
nanobots.
Whoa. And then he turns on me. I put it in his court. I'm like, here, design future carpets. And then you just shove it right back in my face.
Damn it, Matt. I'm a podcaster, not a physicist.
Wow.
You
have no honor.
Done.
Oh,
it's
I
funny.
appreciate you asking that, Matt. But honestly, I think that they would come up with some sort of technology where, yes, there's cellular structures in the fibers that recreate themselves, that repopulate themselves to eliminate the stains and create new, fresh fibers.
Was that so hard? James?
It actually kind of was.
So the carpet's alive?
In a way, yes.
Ooh.
It's organic.
Maybe it's like stolen from an alien planet. It's like sentient carpets.
Little tribbles, micro tribbles. Tribble fibers.
Okay, now don't get stupid.
I don't want to step on a tribble.
It's tribble fibers. They've been shorn and they make
mock tribbles.
So they shave the tribble.
Why not?
They shave the tribble.
This could be a thing like lamb wool. Why not?
Then your carpet would just keep multiplying, and it'd be carpet everywhere. It'd be like the Enterprise would be like the van that I always wanted to have.
By the time of the next
food.
By the time of the next generation, they will have figured out how to solve that multiplication problem, and they will have kept it level. So,
because
I'm enjoying this conversation.
if you follow Star Trek history, up until the search for Spock, they were still doing manual vacuuming of carpets. When they steal the Enterprise, there is a shot from the observation lounge of an empty lounge, except for the janitor, who's wearing a backpack and a jumpsuit, and he's been sweeping the floors. I think that's one of the ILM guys or something who had a cameo, and then he's just watching the Enterprise go away, and stuff. So they're still vacuuming, even at that point. So, yeah.
I remember back in 8th grade, there was this gal I went to school with, and she was a really cute, real cutie, and I was invited to a special party at her place. And her family was really, really cool because they had really thick, dark purple shag carpet wall to wall in this downstairs room. But not only that, it was on the walls. And I remember thinking, wow, that is so hip. I went to learn that her mother was an exotic dancer, but still, I thought it was cool that they were kind of a cool, hip family that had this carpet on the walls.
That's cool.
And I thought that was very futuristic.
But shag carpet was the one that really made me uncomfortable because we had like the regular, your standard, short-haired carpet.
We had a green one.
But the shag ones were so long, and they always felt wet and smelly. Like,
well, if they're not taken care of, sure.
Especially if you had cats.
Sure, or any sort of young child.
Yeah,
because a baby could hide a month's worth of food in that thing.
But it's funny you guys brought up. It's like, whoa, you don't know what's in there. That's why it's so satisfying when you take a big steam cleaner and go, shh, it sprays hot water and soap, and you see all the stuff that was in there. You're like, yeah, you're getting that dirt out of there. And I would imagine they probably still did that on Star Trek, although it was a different process. But still, there's nothing that to have the guy use his mind and have his eyes and be able to do it and go, oh, there's a little jelly bean that's squashed in that rug. Let me take my knife and, cut it out. And
I will say this, Larry. I would like, after the carpet does its thing and its nanobots or whatever, the cells regenerate themselves, or a Tribble fights a Microgorn, or I don't know. Whatever. However this carpet works, I would feel better. And I think you would too, Larry, to have a guy, an actual human, come in and do an inspection, just kind of look it over.
Yeah, do the legwork.
Yeah, and just go, all right, no, it's good.
Like, Sean, do you want to leave everything to technology? Do you want to leave everything to, the computer will figure it out? Oh, the technology.
No, I think you're right. It comes down to something. You have to use good old human intuition and knowledge to do things, for sure, which Star Trek always teaches.
And courtesy too. You see those signs in the bathroom, everybody must wash their hands. You could see a sign in the holodeck, guests must clean up after themselves. Something like
Towel off.
True.
Mm-hmm. See, now, this is what I love. I mean, I know we're all having fun here with this conversation about carpets, and I know you're bored. This is really interesting for your
carpet.
But this is what I love about fandom, in that, it's like, it's one thing to speculate about characters and maybe what they do off screen kind of thing. But like Star Trek and Star Wars and other fandoms get really into the nitty gritty and try to figure out these kinds of little technical details. Yeah. I don't know why it's popped into my head, but I'm gonna get this wrong. But there was a friend who was a big Star Wars geek that I worked with, and this was back, I think, around about the time the prequels were coming out. And he purchased some Star Wars encyclopedia. And so he was just boning up on all this trivia, none of which was covered in any of the stuff we'd seen on screen. But basically, he was indicating that the gas that was mined in Bespin, the Cloud City, was apparently the coolant that was used in the large cannons on the Death Star. So those little shots where you see them shooting the cannons and gas is shooting out, which of course they only did to make it look cool.
Right.
It's like, oh no, there's now a reason behind that. And they got that gas from this place. I mean, come on. It's
all interconnected.
When it gets to this place where, you bring up a question about some sort of technology in one of these shows or movies, and someone comes back to you with either like, well, in one of the novels they discuss, like, no. That is your own little fun fantasy world, and you can do whatever you want, but that's not canon. Until it happens on screen, it's all up for speculation. And that's what kills me about the new Star Trek, is because new Star Trek fucks up its own continuity all over the place. And I'm talking more about Discovery and Strange New Worlds and that stuff. Whereas Picard, one thing I really enjoyed, just briefly to talk about Picard, the first season is it could have been a decent 2-episode story. And then the second one, which is a little more fun because you get Q, but that thing goes on and on and on.
But both seasons I thought just could have been shrunk down.
So now we get to the third one. And the third one, I'm watching it, and I felt like it should have been the first season because it finally starts to feel like Star Trek again.
Yeah.
And I have to say, one of the things that annoys me about all the Star Trek now, there are one too many long conversations about what's happening. And there's like, as the conversation goes on, I feel I start to get anxious. Like, hey, there's a problem with the ship. You guys probably should address that and save that. But I'm assuming there's an audience that enjoys that sort of thing. But at least in this season, Mark, would you agree with me that at least those conversations feel like they're relevant to at least what's happening in the story?
I agree. There's, again, without spoiling anything for anyone who's listening as I've watched it, there's been a complaint about a person spending an inordinate amount of time talking to a view screen that's just spitting words back at them because it's a secret identity kind of thing.
Yeah.
And okay, that's I can see that, but that's not really. I tend to agree more with you. I felt like, yeah, the first season had its problems, but it was interesting seeing him back and what they were doing with stuff. The second season, I felt it was definitely a waste of potential.
Yes.
Because I really thought like, oh, you're going to get an and the showrunner who worked on 12 Monkeys, and I think they were having problems in the second season. He brought back one of the actors that he had on 12 Monkeys during the second season who played that inspector.
Right.
But he was also on Star Trek. He was in Voyager, I think, as a Federation time cop. So I thought every fan who's watching this recognizes this guy.
Right. To play that character.
Right? This is going to happen. And no, he was just playing a brand new character, and poof, he's gone, and that's it. And it's like, oh, come on.
But in the third season,
there
are so many people popping up. And it's fun. And is it flawed?
Kind of fun.
Oh, yes. But I actually enjoyed it this time.
Cool. Yeah, I gotta check it out for sure.
And none of you guys have watched it yet?
Not yet. No, first two seasons, but not this one. But I definitely in our queue. But that's the fun, I think, though, about any kind of loved genre franchise is that the fans love to just be in that world. They love it so much, and the characters and the stories mean so much to them that they wanted to fill it out as much as possible. And Star Wars is a great example too. It's people want to see. They want to be in that universe and in that world, so they start thinking about all the stuff that happens in the background, behind the scenes. I think it's cool. I mean, yeah, it can get ridiculous, but it's fun though too.
I'm not defending Lucasfilm, but from what I understand, my suspicion is that there's at least some small staff, even if it's just 2 or 3 people, who are only in charge of continuity, and that they would be, the people to be able to invent what that gas on Bespin was for, and that once they do bring it up and once it is published, it is canonical.
Yes.
And that's just based on my general understanding of how Lucasfilm operates. Unlike maybe how Paramount is operating Star Trek with the different people in charge, the different showrunners. Neither good nor bad. There's a lot of, details. And it's like you got to really be a fan in the weeds to really care about it. But that's just my take on it.
I think Star Wars has the benefit of being newer, so to speak. I mean, it's only
right.
What, 10, 12 years after the original series, but even so, they've had the benefit of technology that the original Star Trek didn't have. So I feel like it's easier for them to maintain a visual continuity. Whereas with Star Trek leading into the movies, leading into the next generation, you've always had these problems, and it would have been fine. And I've said this on multiple Facebook discussions in Star Trek groups. Again, the whole thing I love about fandom, we can get in there and really argue about this stuff. I said the biggest problem with Star Trek was an episode of TNG called Relics, where they brought James Doohan back to play Scott.
Oh, yeah.
He'd been in a coma, so to speak, in a transporter loop for 75 years, and they woke him up. And so in the middle of the episode, he goes to the holodeck because he's feeling homesick, and he recreates the bridge of the original Enterprise. And right there was the problem, because you drew a straight line from that to that. And now everyone is a canonista, has to come and justify every little decision along the way. And how can this be like this? And wait a minute, Enterprise doesn't look anything like that. And that's before this.
Right. I know. Yeah. That's also the thing with, like, when you're going back and retelling stories from previous shows or movies, or especially Star Wars especially does this, filling in entire gaps of history between movies or shows, but then, the technology, it just looks different, it looks better.
I don't mind that though as much, because seeing the old Enterprise in the Next Generation, I love that. And I want those people to go back and justify it.
Absolutely.
And it took a 2-parter on the show Enterprise to explain why the Klingons have the ridges.
Right.
And I thought that was great.
That's
I love
a cool
that.
idea. Right.
I love that. But when it comes to Star Trek and Star Wars and doing new shows or new movies, my issue is that it always seems like the first attempt is a failure because they don't want to make Star Trek or Star Wars. They make something else. and then everyone complains, and then finally it seems like, okay, we'll make Star Wars. When you could have just made Star Wars in the first place.
Yeah,
The Mandalorian feels like Star Wars.
Well, The Mandalorian also, though, think about it, and I'm really enjoying the latest season 2 of it. I think it's taking Star Wars back to what at least the first movie kind of was, which is a pretty simple, straightforward pulp adventure. The Mandalorian episodes, you can describe the plot in one sentence pretty much.
Right.
But the details and the love and caring that goes into creating the world,
And the characters
work. I mean, sometimes you come back to the basic mythology and stories. The Mandalorian, Favreau knows how to take, Shogun mythology and Western mythology. We've talked about this a lot, but he just knows how to do it. The thing is, it's in a way, it's like it's not rocket science, but it is, because you just have to stay true to what it is. It's just a good old-fashioned adventure story, And I'll tell you one thing about The Mandalorian. One thing that, we talk about CGI and how, CGI never looks really quite right, especially when it's on a living person or an animal or a creature. But one thing that they got down is space battles, or I would say spaceship battles, not just in outer space. When you have a spaceship chase or battle within an atmosphere of a planet,
Okay.
it looks so freaking real to me. Like those, when Mandalorian's being chased and Bo-Katan's ship is being and over the mountains and stuff, that stuff looks so real to me. The sound effects, it's so good. They just make that world so believable that you just have to have a simple, clear story, characters that you care about, and it works. It's that's why it's before, when they started making the new Star Wars movies, there's so much on their shoulders to deal with, because you have all the big characters, Luke Skywalker, and now we're getting into the Mandalorians and all their tribe, and that stuff's cool. It is Star Wars.
Yeah, and it's also what you were just saying about the big characters. When you think about the original Star Wars, that is a movie about small characters who became big.
Yeah.
And so that's why don't keep visiting this same well over and over again. Use that as a template for telling a new story. And I think they did that with the Mandalorian perfectly.
Yeah, well, that's why the Obi-Wan Kenobi series sucked, because it was completely pointless and useless and did nothing to add to the franchise. And it was bad. But the Mandalorians are other new characters that are interesting and telling interesting stories that are fresh. And and it's still the Empire. It's kind of like the Empire is growing back, coming back, and that threat is looming over them. It's just interesting. It's like I don't want to see a young Princess Leia or a young or an older Skywalker. No. I'm done with that. Just stay with new characters.
I want the slave girl years show.
Okay, yeah, well maybe that, yeah, but it's.
I will be thankful for the series point out that the Skywalker clan, to a man, woman, or child, are all a bunch of a-holes. I mean, it's just you thought learn something after Return of the Jedi. He's great. He's doing great things. And then one bad night, next thing you know, he's gone for 30 years.
Yeah.
What the hell? Anakin, loser. Even Princess Leia, when the going gets tough in her marriage, see ya.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't any picnic with Han Solo.
Probably not. No.
True. That's true.
That's not the boy you take home to mom. I mean,
I hear he, when he drinks a little bit, he shoots first.
Hey! I just want to say this. Look, about that relationship. Just really quickly, she has a lot of big responsibilities, and she has to kind of think of a whole planet. And I think when I look at those two, I think the issues were this is I'm guessing, but I think that Han wanted. It's like, hey, let's deal with us and our family, and she's trying to think like, look, we're dealing with our family, but I got to deal with these planet issues and
the future of the universe.
For everybody. I can't just deal with you. Can't you be a grown man, a grown guy, not have to
stop being a scoundrel?
Yeah, stop being a scoundrel.
It's kind of like The Crown, No, but I mean, in that storyline of Queen Elizabeth has to be the queen and act like a queen and do all the queen things and
right. Things.
Yeah. And so there you've got Han Solo. It's like, hey, can't we can't we go to Space Disneyland?
Well, no, Han Solo
we
should
can't.
Han Solo should have been like Prince Philip, all the way to the end. That's what he should have been.
But that's not him.
Yeah, it's true. It's
He's
not
a
his
rascal.
nature. Right.
Hey,
It was never him. That relationship was forged in friction, and there's no way to even imagine it any differently.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they wrote it differently and had them like, living together happily, it wouldn't have rung true.
It wouldn't have been them.
No.
Right.
But then I feel like it could have been handled a little bit better in terms of how they depicted them post breakup and all that stuff. And if I may bring this back to the other show we were just talking about, this current season of Picard, again, spoiler free, there are a couple of conversations that deal with children and legacy and things like that between characters
Mhm.
that handle it 1,000 times better than I feel.
I agree.
And
Interesting.
it's a couple of different couples that talk about these things.
Yes.
And it really informs the whole season, I feel like.
And for once again, I have to say this, for once, it feels like that those conversations are appropriate to the show.
Mhm. Right.
They're not like, hey, let's just pad out this season.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, season 2 with Picard trying to understand his pain from his childhood and running around this dreamscape in his head. And
and the
that
captain
just
guy
went on and on.
and the captain guy falling for that one doctor woman in the present day and all that.
That was like from a 70s show or something.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas the new captain character, I love him.
Unbelievable. Yep. That is a journey you're all going to enjoy. Let's put it that way. I think he starts out one place and he comes to be in another place, and it's just phenomenal. He's such a great actor.
And even how he changes, he's still that guy, but there's a deeper side to him.
Yeah.
That you understand. And no spoilers, but as new characters go, that's probably my favorite one.
All that stuff is fleshed out. It's earned. I think, the conversations, like you say, they propel the plot. They're right for the characters. I think they actually make up for a lot of flaws in the original run of TNG, because the women kind of got the short shrift on that show.
Yeah.
A little bit, And
especially like Deanna Troi.
Yeah.
Because of Pluto TV, I've been going through all the Trek shows again.
Yeah.
And the Deanna Troi arc, it took her to like the last 2 seasons to get a Starfleet uniform.
Right.
And that was always what it should have been.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of her walking around in her pajamas or whatever.
Didn't she go to night school or something to get the uniform or something?
No, she was
okay.
basically ordered to do it. It was when Picard is captured by David Warner as the Cardassian.
right.
Okay.
And this other
Ronnie Cox takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, could you put on a Starfleet uniform? Because you're in Starfleet.
That was a great episode.
I love that.
Really
And it
was.
apparently Marina Sirtis actually said, I was delighted. I finally got to get my pips.
Right. Nice.
Explained in the early seasons, I remember her talking about like those weight issues and things like that. She didn't necessarily feel she looked the best, and so they did things, but
It wasn't her fault.
yeah. And it's interesting you bring that episode up, because that character Ronnie Cox plays, who takes over for Picard and locks horns with Riker over command style and stuff. And watching it originally, I remember thinking, Will
What a
Riker,
dick.
right, man, what a dick this new guy is. And now as an adult,
No.
No, he's not a dick. It's like, he's your commanding officer. You have to support him. It's like he's just got a different command style. And that actually figures into a later episode of Picard season 3, which I can't talk about. But
Right. He does write off Picard pretty quickly.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to get into the weeds with you about that.
Right.
But
You know what? Talking about Ronnie Cox, I will say that that's an underappreciated character actor.
Yeah.
He's been so much.
He
stuff,
is.
including
He is
a lot of
great.
genre stuff. He's awesome.
He is always good.
He's always good. RoboCop. Tons of other things.
The car he's in.
Right.
you should watch that 2-parter, James. You'd love it.
Well, let me ask you this.
David Warner and Ronnie Cox?
Let me ask you this. I've seen the Next Generation movies. I've seen various episodes of this series. But if I were just to tune into the 3rd season of Picard, because I've been watching the commercials and it looks good, and from what you guys are saying, it's interesting. do I need to see seasons 1 and 2 to?
No. I mean,
Okay.
Especially for you, James, I would say no.
No,
Because
okay.
they reference them, and there's a couple little things that you might want to just go on Wikipedia or something and read a plot summary just to get
Wiki Alpha.
or Star Trek Wiki, or but just to get some broad points. There's a couple things they bring up that are kind of integral to the storyline. But
okay, all right, cool.
Picard in his body, for example.
They're mostly smart about that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really nice that you guys have brought up the show Picard, and we've talked a bit about it. But would you also say then, like maybe the Star Trek series, that it takes a while for them to get up to speed? You're saying this third season's the best, so it's taken them a while to get there, but
it's taken them a while. I feel like, as opposed to the Next Generation, where the first few seasons of that, it really was uncharted territory of getting a show like that on the air. And so I will allow for the mistakes that were made in those early seasons. This is different. They should have known better. They should have given us Star Trek and Picard. And
because the Next Generation, when it first came out, it did take a season or two to get its feet. It was a little stilted. There was some great ideas, and they were getting to know the characters, but it didn't really hit its stride until a season or two later.
Yeah. And it shouldn't have been this way. After all that has gone before, they should have known what to do right off the bat. And it's a no-brainer to bring back people. Come on, give us what we want. And I was maybe a little unfair to Patrick Stewart in our last episode where I was talking about his age.
You were pretty harsh there.
Well, I wasn't harsh. I was being.
No, you were harsh.
No, I will explain what I meant by this, which is he sounded old. He looked old. He is old. Yeah. He's, what is it, 82?
Is he really that old? Yeah.
Yeah, that's old. That is officially old. When I'm 82, I will say that I'm old. I will admit that I'm old. And my thing,
I won't even get there.
The point that I made was that he, more than just look old, he sounded old. And then I found out, doing some reading, that during that second season, there was some sort of smoke that they were using, and he was breathing in a lot of this stuff. So he sounded worse.
Really?
And he has an aged voice sound already. But with that, he sounded like he was sick. And in this third season, which we did that episode before I had binge watched all these episodes. And so I felt like he had his vim and vigor back.
Interesting.
And I also wonder if there was a bit of energy having all the original people around him again.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
I also wonder if it's an acting choice, because I was saying the same thing, because he talks about in interviews, which is kind of why I give season 1, at least, a little slack. I really feel like they squandered Q in season 2, and it was just
Well, Q was the best part about season 2, and there wasn't enough of him and Picard together.
Yeah, they needed more, and it just sort of ended in a flat way.
It was a mess. The season was a mess.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he talks about this is obviously a different Picard. This is what drew him to do the series again when they pitched it to him, because he had no intention of coming back to the character, as I understand it. He was pitched like, no, this is an older Picard who's had all of these things go on. And I did like that about the first season, where he goes through all this stuff with the Romulans and the sun going nova and evacuating their planet and helping them relocate and all this stuff, which is why he's got Romulan household staff who are devoted to him.
Right.
But then he quits. He has a hissy fit like a Skywalker, and he quits, because, Starfleet won't listen to me, so screw you. And they're like, fine, we'll go on without you. And then when he tries to come back and use his Picardness to just a small crew and all this stuff. And I forget the actress's name.
Oh, yeah. Well, she literally says, like, the fucking nerve.
Yes, exactly. And I love that, which really infuriates a lot of Star Trek fans who are like,
I think it's
that's
realistic.
Fine. With that, it was just the filler stuff of like, really, did we need 45 minutes having dinner with the Rikers?
Right.
I think that was kind of sort of for the fans too. I mean, it was like,
but fans? It's not done in the
what fans? What fans want to?
The dinner fans.
Yeah.
I'd want to see that. I'd want to have dinner with the Rikers and find out what they're drinking.
Wow.
And
Dinner with the
how they make-
Rikers.
You know, so
I
don't.
thought it was
It's a
acting choice.
different show.
But
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you know, you always do that where you go, oh, I don't know who fan would do that. It's like there are some of us who are a little
There
more
are some, yes.
insightful. They're more insightful that would like to have. Hey, would you like to have dinner with Commander Riker? Yes,
But
I
it's
would.
filler. It's filler. It does nothing to propel.
Yeah, that's what it
Story.
is.
It was filler. Yeah.
I mean,
Sometimes
this is
Filler,
this.
but it
a
was
little filler is filling and it's satisfying.
It's.
I like that. I like that quote.
It's
A
such
little
different
filler
times
can
though.
be filling.
It's such different times though compared to like when Next Generation, even the original Star Trek came out. And it's streaming services. They have a guaranteed number of episodes they have to make. You know,
Right.
it's like it's different the way shows are made now. But the way you're describing the third season, Matt, I definitely have to. You know, like I said, it's on our list for sure. So I have to check it
Yeah.
out.
I may
It
have
is
a
flawed.
TNG bathroom joke. I may have it.
Okay, here we go.
How about we wait till you are sure that you have it?
How about we wait to the end?
No, because then
You know,
it's
at
going to be
the end of the
forever.
show.
No,
Yeah,
because
this
then
is
it's gonna be
filler.
forever.
This is
This is filler.
This is
filler.
officially
an
filler.
episode of the
Matt,
writing room with James
Feel
Gonis.
free to cut this out. Feel free
Okay.
to cut this out.
It's cut.
Here we go.
When Riker tells Picard, "I'll be right back. I'm going to the bathroom." Picard says, "Will you be long?" And Riker says, "No, it's number one."
Okay,
Not bad.
Okay, Sean's
Not bad.
laughing.
that
All
was
right.
way better than I was expecting.
Okay. Well, you know,
It's on point,
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
and you got your. You know, it's. I would say it could be canon.
right.
They,
You know-
they had to go to the bathroom every once in a while. I'm just saying. And I'm sure number one came up as a joke. You know,
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
You know, I'm glad we've had this discussion about Star Trek, but there is other stuff out there.
yes,
Is there?
give us
Is
something.
there?
Give
Okay,
us
Larry,
something.
go.
Well, this may be a little promotional thing, but over the weekend, I was able to see a friend of mine who I haven't seen in ages. Like I'm sure many listeners out there, maybe you went to screenings with a bunch of friends or something on a regular basis. And then when COVID happened, it kind of changed everything. And as people are trying to get their lives back in order and stuff, some people go, I don't want to get together in a large group and stuff. So it's taken a while for some of these friends that I had to get together. And I spoke with my friend Scott Sebring, who I'm sure you guys know. He's a big
Mhm.
Batman, the classic 60s Batman
Cosplayer.
yes. But what was amazing was, he has this thing that you can check out on YouTube called Bat Tours. But what I didn't know is he had over the time that we hadn't seen each other, he put together this new thing called Bat Tours, the Bat Roads. Now, this is for someone, if you are a really big 60s Batman fan, I'm sure you probably wonder, hey, where the cave, where the Batmobile comes out of the cave, and Sean did a great Patreon thing where he goes to the Bat Cave.
It's
But-
Bronson Canyon. Yep.
Yeah, but there are these sequences after that, and there are other episodes where the Batmobile travels down this road, and
Mhm.
Bat fans would go, where the heck is this road? And so Scott and his other Bat friend, Ben Bentley, tracked it down, and they did all this research, and they put together this 8-minute piece. It has video footage, it has stuff from the actual films, it has little maps, and it shows you exactly where this place is. So I just wanted to plug Scott's thing because I watched it. It's only about 8 minutes, and it's loads
That's
of
cool.
fun.
Is
And
it like?
it's called Bat Tours, the Bat Roads, and they start out in the Bat Cave, and everyone knows the Bat Cave, but they don't know about the Bat Roads.
Is it like all still in and around LA, Larry? Or is-
Yeah, it is. And
Interesting.
I'd strongly suggest you check it out because it's a fun, short piece. And even if you're kind of on the fringe of a Batman fan, it's really neat to see these guys who are so into Batman, how they
Yeah.
went about finding it, and which
That's
is
cool.
fascinating.
That's
And
cool.
so I would check that out on YouTube. So again, Bat Tours, the Bat Roads.
YouTube
Nice.
is such a valuable tool when it comes to
Gosh.
anything like this, because when we went to look for Ape City in
Yeah.
Malibu Canyon, I think there were the first 2 times we couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And it's right there, but we walked by it not thinking that was where it was.
Right.
And I go to YouTube, and YouTube spelled it all out, and I printed some pictures, and it was very helpful. And then, of course, I talked to my Planet of the Apes friends.
Right.
We have a lot of them.
But Matt, when you see the movie, you see a lake, and the lake's not there, right?
No.
It's not. And that's, I think, what throws you off, because that's what I go, where's the lake?
The pond, that's there. And it's amazing, like when you finally find those places, those locations, you just know it. You're like, okay, that's the tree that they're picking the fruit from in the beginning of the movie. That was where the cornfield was. That sort of shaded road that you always see in Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And that's where Caesar's throne was. And you can even find those original steps that Taylor runs up.
No.
Really?
When he's trying to, outrun the gorillas.
Oh,
Wow.
I gotta go.
And and I'm telling you, all you got to do, and I've said this before, but go and dig around in the Ape City area, and there you go. Yeah.
Just wait for listeners.
Mark Tavares is holding up his pieces of Ape City.
Yeah, Matt, you gave me a piece too.
Yeah.
You
I
have a piece of Ape City?
Yeah.
It is amazing. Like you said, we'd gone a couple of times with friends who, like ourselves, weren't really familiar with where it was. And it was finally when we went with real ape nerds, specifically our friend Eric Green, who appears on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's written books on Planet Apes,
yep,
right?
Ape aficionado. And they knew exactly where it was. Yeah. And they even had some pictures on their phone comparing, yesterday and today kind of thing.
Right.
And
yes.
There's a segment where the road intersects. You're walking down the same path, and then the road intersects, and it's like, there it is. That's the entrance
right there.
to the city, right there.
Wow.
And then you realize how small that set actually
I know, right?
Yes, right.
Really?
Yeah, to make it right, because look, that's why I love about the original. Yeah, the original movie.
Huge.
It makes it looks like it's a city, but it's just this little patch. But it's so great.
But I'm still amazed you can find pieces of carving foam there from the original set. Yeah,
that's cool.
Carrie went in there, and I was looking around. I think I might have found one little piece or whatever. Carrie went in there, and she started digging around under things and came away with these giant pieces.
Wow.
And kept finding them.
Wow,
and
that's cool.
It was just remarkable that you can right now go to that area and find a piece of history, famous film history.
She's like an archaeologist.
She should be. Yeah, she would be great at that. But
I have been told, and I don't know whether I believe it or not, but you probably should keep it in some sort of sealed container, because this stuff tends to off-gas a lot of noxious fumes and things.
Really?
I would imagine in the, 50 years or whatever it's been, I don't know the math, but
yeah, probably.
That it probably has, sitting outside.
I haven't smelled anything. I've had my pieces out in the air, and it's never been a Limburger cheese moment like in the Little Rascals,
It's one of those, I don't know if you would actually smell it or not, but just,
So Matt, when you and Carrie were there and you got to the pond, did you guys reenact the astronaut scene and take your clothes off and jump into the pond and swim and go?
Well, it is interesting you should say that. We did not, but there were a lot of people, because you have to climb down to get to where the pond is. But there were a lot of people doing jumps off of rocks in it.
No.
And
wow.
It's one rock that's kind of up there, and everybody kept coming back with, hey, it's not as deep as we thought it was. So they kind of hit, they wouldn't hit the bottom where it would hurt them. But I'm sure they felt it. There was a part of me that wanted to go down there and, put on a suit and get in, but those years are, I think, behind me.
Really? Really?
I don't like cold water. I don't like being in water too long.
You don't like hot water. You don't like jacuzzi water. Now
I don't like being in water too long unless it's the most ideal situation, like bath water temperature, exotic place.
But Matt,
I'm doing something. There's snorkeling or there's some sort of activity involved.
Yes,
but when it comes to
the astronauts were in that pond.
Yeah,
you want to live
I'm
what they
pretty
live.
sure the water is different by now.
Well, yeah, sure. There's probably sediment in there too, but still.
But it was exciting just to go there, and I'm telling you, you go to Malibu Creek Park, and it's all there, and it's all in walking distance, short walking distance. That place also has the MASH camp,
right,
and a couple other things, but all the ape stuff is surprisingly intact. where you're able to recognize it. Like, oh my God, that's it. It's
That's
right
cool.
there.
That's so cool.
I'll tell you what's not intact is Century City, because in Conquest,
Right.
when I first moved to LA,
yeah.
it was 1994, and Century City was exactly like it was when they used it in Conquest of
for
the
a long
Planet of the
time.
Apes.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the main draws when I first, I was like, oh my God, that's the bridge.
Yeah.
The apes come over. I mean,
Right.
yeah, it's, and just like the little cement areas were like the machine guns. I mean, it was all, it's
Because
insane.
20th Century Fox owns this whole big complex, and it's where the like Murakami building is from Die Hard, and it's this whole area in Fox Studios. And they used to have this kind of futuristic looking city. If you were from the 70s, it looked futuristic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that's where they shot Conquest. And so you see all these like sort of streamlined white buildings and bridges and stuff. And I didn't even know that that's where they shot it. But the first time I visited it, I was like, oh my God, this is where they shot Conquest. How cool is that? But they've since redone it, and all of that shit is gone.
Well, isn't the bridge still there, though? Isn't the bridge still there?
I think it looks different. I think, I mean, there's something crossing the street, but I think it's different.
It's not, it doesn't have that 70s futuristic.
Is everything all developed up around it? Like,
pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or, yeah.
I thought that was the same bridge.
When did they remodel?
Oh,
I think that they a couple times they did since then. But I mean, I haven't been there in a while too. I mean, it's don't really have much need to go to Century City shopping area anymore. You know, it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Larry. Speaking of Planet of the Apes, Larry shared something with us today.
I did, and just really briefly, someone sent me a picture today, and back in 2015. The four of us and a few others, we all went to Japan, and we had an absolutely wonderful time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, have always talked about going back, and I've been kind of, you know, we got to wait for a little while, but someone sent me a picture of what's in Japan. There's a certain item. And I tell you, Matt, when I saw this, I thought, oh my God, I got to go.
I know. Me too.
And it has to do with gashapon.
Explain what gashapon is. Just
Matt. Well, it's really
gashapon are a series of, especially a certain type of vending machine that has these little like eggs pantyhose, almost little capsules. And you know, like the kind that you would get a prize in just a regular prize gumball machine in the supermarket. These are big. These are bigger.
And they're cool.
And they're
elaborate.
Really cool. And so you can go into an area where there are a bunch of collector stores or just regular streets, and there'll be a place that has just like rows of them. Featuring all kinds of different things. They could be genre characters. They could be some odd keychain. They could be fake food, you know, a cryptozoology character.
A lot of anime.
A lot of anime,
like all kinds of stuff,
you know, Ultraman, all that stuff is there too. But it's like stuff that you would never have thought of that would be offered in a vending machine.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking panties, so just calm down.
And what I saw today, I've never seen before, and it's heads of Planet of the Apes characters. And they're beautiful.
Yeah.
And
they're like,
the mouths work like a little ventriloquist doll.
Yeah. Well, I love too is that the ones they show, there's like 4 different ones. Of course, you have Cornelius and Zira. You have General Aldo. But you'd think maybe like, okay, maybe Zeus. No, you have Virgil.
Paul
Williams character.
Isn't that crazy?
Which is kind of awesome. Which, by the way, it should be. Where is the Virgil like Mego action figure?
I know.
I mean, I'll only get a Virgil figure.
If those heads are the right scale, you can make one now.
True, that's true.
Yeah. But Virgil, that one floored me.
Maybe he's big in Japan.
That's what I was thinking, right? He's like Spinal Tap.
Virgil, There's like Virgil cults in Japan.
Would you guys agree when you saw that? Did that make you just go, "Oh my gosh, I really gotta go"?
Well, we've all got a birthday coming.
I know. I'm sure there's someone in Japan that we could reach out to try to find it for us. But still, it really made me want to just get up and go.
I know.
That's cool. That's awesome.
When you went to WonderCon this year?
Yeah.
You
don't even remember.
WonderCon,
I'm trying to, make it more interactive here with the.
I know you meet lots of people at WonderCon.
Come on, this is radio. I'm trying to help out here. But did you see the big capsule toy setup in the back?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was it was really expensive though. It's like you get a token and it's like $6 for a gachapon.
Really?
Well, yeah, we tried. They were like
compared to Japan.
Yeah, but no, they had some cool stuff though. Yeah.
Well, I was not familiar with this stuff at all. I completely blew past that because that guy's been there before.
Yeah.
Blown past it. But if I may give a shout out to a friend of mine, a gentleman named Henrik Van Ryzen, who goes by the name Van Tiki. He's a and whatnot. He's got a great online following and whatnot. But one of the things he's taken to doing now is a Friday update where he just gets on and does an Instagram live and talks about what they're doing in the studio and this and that. And then he ends with I think he calls it Pauhana Gachapon. Basically what he did, because he and his wife lived in Japan for 2 years, they taught English at a local school, and he fell in love with the whole gachapon thing, of course.
Cool.
And so he bought a machine. He just decided what the hell, bought his own vending machine.
That's cool.
A friend of his sourced a whole bunch of these things from all over the countryside, apparently, and sent it to him. He filled the machine, so he has no idea what's in.
Oh, that's cool.
Things.
That's cool.
And he even went to the bank to get the appropriate, yen or whatever,
Yen,
it's 100 yen or something like that.
Yeah.
So he ends his every Friday now, and I've got to watch this thing. It's appointment television. Where he goes and does it, and he put his own label card inside the machine so you can't see the capsules and whatnot. It's really funny, and you're absolutely correct. The stuff you get in these things is amazing. Recent one, he got a praying mantis. And he can take it apart and then put it together right there and show everyone. This thing was so complex. He's like, I can't do it now, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to put up a separate post. And he showed this thing, and because I think it was freaking him out. It was so realistic. It's like, it's so weird, but I love it, but I hate it, but I love it. But yeah, I'm
a cool idea
by those things. So
we've gotten so many things that were just so odd that we fell in love with. There was the punk drunkers. Which are like these little businessmen who are zombies, and
food, lots of food, like realistic miniature versions of food.
Like a spongy sandwich, or something, or and then there was a thing that I've talked about this before, but like it's based on something, but it's like these heads. And if you open up the top of the head, there's like a little alien inside who's like operating,
controlling the
head. And the expressions on the faces are priceless. So yeah, I mean, I love that stuff. And the word gashapon, that's supposed to be, as the story goes, they call it gashapon, is that's supposed to replicate the sound that the machine makes as it, as the egg rolls down.
The first time I went to Japan, which was back in '89, they had gachapon there, but a lot of the figures were maybe a little simpler. But when I discovered it and I found a Godzilla machine, when you put in a coin, you turn the handle, it had to play a little song. It would go doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Oh, really?
And so it played a little song, and then you hear the thing go. And so the funny thing is, of course, I was there for like an hour or so, putting in my little coin to try to get every freaking character in there, and listening to that little song. And I know these couple little kids came out and looked at me like, "Why are you hogging the view?" Get away, kids!
We can't hear that song again.
Right.
So, and it's funny because in that set, what I could see inside is there was a little itty bitty Minya son, Godzilla's son. And so I kept putting coins in. I got like 3 or 4 Baragons. I got 6 Geegers. I had to keep going till I got that Minya son. And I don't know how much. I must have spent something like $60 or something looking at the coins to get. But you know what? Damn it, I did get that little Minya son. I only have one but I do have it. So I have a whole little set.
Well, at least you knew that it was in the machine.
Yes.
Right.
Because I could see him. I could see,
Right.
through the window. He's look at that.
Remember Kimono My House, the Japanese collectible store in Emeryville?
Yes.
And it's still there, but it's a different kind of setup. But when
Toy
it was
shop.
on the roof, roof of this building, I just love that place. And the guy that ran it was really cool. He's this old Japanese guy. And he always liked it when I came in because he said it looked like Mel Gibson. It's like, okay, sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
So he would always turn me on to things. And one of the things that he turned me on to was he had these tapes of a show, a Japanese show where, now this wasn't gashapon, but it was, the candy toys that come in a box and you get a little mint or something, or a tiny little chocolate.
Sweet
tarts, right?
Sweet tarts, yeah.
And then you get a toy, but you didn't know which toy you were going to get. And so this show was these different groups of people who would go into these places and they'd have to get the whole set of something, and they only had so much money to spend. And so they would do all these things, like they would, hold the boxes, and because some figures were heavier than others, and they kind of go, and they shake it a little bit, and I thought that was a brilliant idea for a show.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he was so nice to me too that I wanted to get these. The company that did the Space Giants that also did Spectre Man, right? Wasn't that all the same studio?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, there was a series of toys, and that part of that series was Space Giants, Spectre Man, and Denjin Zaborger. So I wanted to get the Space Giants one, and they were unmarked. You just had to take your chances. And this guy was so cool. I'd buy one, and it'd be the one that I didn't want. He goes, "Oh, you know what? I always wanted that one, so I'll take that one. And here, go try again." So and that was so nice. And I ended up getting the ones that I wanted.
Just to let people know, when Matt and I went, I didn't know Matt at the time, but it was a little store, and it really wasn't that well known. It was right off the Bay Bridge in the San Francisco area, in this little town called Emeryville, and you had to go up all these flights of stairs. There was no elevator to get there, and it almost seemed like, is it a guy's home? It was kind of like, it looked like it was like this spare room or something. But what was so cool is he had this connection where he got all these die-cast metal toys, stuff that you couldn't find at your local Toys R Us or regular Toys R Us.
Japan.
It was all Japan stuff.
Right.
And it's funny because, Matt, I picked up a few of my really treasured die-cast metal characters there, my beautiful Godzilla toy book. And people need to understand, this is before eBay. You heard about this Japanese toy stuff, but to get it, it was like you either had to go there or you saw it in a book. But he had this stuff, and it was so great. And of course, it's that time has passed, I guess.
I know. It was a lovely store.
Lovely store.
He had these big, I don't know, I guess they were sort of display statues of Ultraman and Kamen Rider. And this guy was so nice. And I would always buy stuff, and then he would give me a deal of some sort. Like there'd be I got this inflatable, almost like a kind of, what do you call it? Like a bop toy that you punch, but a mini version of Kamen Rider Black. And this thing is rare. I never see it ever on eBay, but he gave it to me for like $5.
Wow.
And he would do that with these uncut sheets of Kamen Rider cards. And I've gone on eBay now to look them up, and they're worth all kinds of money. But yeah, he gave them to me. Oh, that's $15.
Wow.
So he was super sweet. He even gave me a sake cup, a wooden sake cup.
Wow.
Yeah, when you taste sake out of this, it really, you can really taste the flavor. And he was right.
Now, Mark, I'm sorry. Have you been to Japan, Mark?
No. And basically, if you guys ever set up another trip, I've thought fondly of the videos and your descriptions of your trip, especially the day trip you made out to the Godzilla
slide.
The slide. It's like there's a magic to that story. I could feel the way you're telling it, because it definitely had one of those. I've experienced something similar in a totally unrelated sense, but the feeling was there, where it's like you're looking for something, you're getting frustrated. the weather's crapping on you. There's all this stuff, and then suddenly it happens,
And there it
it's
is.
the greatest thing in the world. And when you said nobody was there because, of course, the weather, so and everything else you've talked about, I would we would love to experience that with you if you ever do it again.
And
Awesome.
the bus, I guess tourist bus or whatever it was, drives by us, and we're all wearing crazy masks and hanging out near the Godzilla slide. And they're like, "What is going on with these guys?"
Because you're also going to have to a zip line into Godzilla's mouth. I mean, that's
This is-
Oh yeah.
So look, since we've been there in 2015, there have been some new things. When we were there, they had just opened the Godzilla Hotel, so we weren't necessarily able to go in, but that has been open for a few years. You have, this zip line thing where you zip into actually
It's Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla's mouth.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
And that
But
looks wonderful. But if we go back, because we're going to have a pivotal birthday coming up in about a year or so. And so, we might have to throw a trip together.
Nice.
And I think it must happen that we stay at least a night or two in the Godzilla Hotel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For
We
sure.
have to arrange that. That's something. And we had Kyle Yount on, and he had been there and told us, what to expect, and that there's they leave a little Godzilla gift there for you, and it just sounds so wonderful. It's like, before I die, before I go, I want to at least spend one night in that Godzilla hotel.
Oh, we will. We will.
After I do that, then I could go, all right, I'm done.
That's it.
And then Mark
Unless-
Tavares steps in.
Yes.
Can I ask you something? I mean, you based on the previous conversation about how you used to find stuff in these little shops and things like that. Yes, the internet is a wonderful thing, and Amazon and all these other eBay and all this stuff. I love it, but I agree with you that there was a magic to finding these little hidden stores.
There's nothing
Stuff you
to
didn't even know
compare.
existed is suddenly there in front of your face, and like, oh my, this is incredible. When you guys go to Japan, do you still find stuff, even though again?
Well, I mean, especially the nature of some of these stores, like not only the Mandarakis, but the little mom and pop stores, they really are like you're sifting through somebody's garage.
Yes.
Godzilla,
Yeah. So like even like the owners of the, of these stores sometimes don't know, what they have behind line and line and line after figures and stuff in the back and something on the floor or in the corner. Like it really is. It's like an archaeological dig. And like there were many figures and toys I came home with from that trip that I didn't know these things existed.
Well, and stores. So Nakano Broadway is a pretty well-known big shopping mall.
Right.
And right outside of the mall was that little store that we went to. And James, do you remember the name? Was something QT?
QT and Noda Ya was the official name of it.
But when we'd go to Nakano Broadway, that would be the first place we'd go because it was just right outside the main mall. And we go in this place and you walk up these little rickety steps and you'd go into this room, and it was the tiniest room. And he had bins of stuff and boxes stacked on top of each other, like all through the store. So, I mean, you literally couldn't get through. You had to be careful and sort of squeeze your way in between two boxes and then move something so you could see into the case. And then sometimes there was like part of a vacuum cleaner that was
a coffee machine.
And it was ridiculous. But that place had so many great things.
Yeah, it was like going to like an estate sale or something. Like rummaging through stuff.
And like the world's greatest hoarder.
Yeah,
the guy who
exactly.
He knew where everything was too. I'd go, hey, I'm looking for this and that. Oh, wait a second, and he'd go and then come back, and there it is.
Well, I think that the magic of that place and places like it is that there's so much stuff piled, just stacked on top of each other, is that it's saturated, and in your head that there is so much stuff that you would find and treasure, but you don't even have the time to dig through all that stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why we like going to conventions too. I mean, still, a lot of the vendors and dealers at these conventions, like at Monsterpalooza or Comic-Con, They have websites and they sell stuff on eBay, but it's not the same as
It's not
like
the same.
coming up to this booth and seeing this guy with behind him all these shelves and stuff. What is that? It's like there's nothing. It's like it goes back to when we were growing up as kids, going to the department store and running to the toy section and seeing all those Mego figures or those color form aliens on the rack and grabbing them and taking them home. It's just that it's
nothing like
nothing beats that.
It's funny though. Look, when we went in 2015, no one could foresee what was going to happen. COVID did change a lot of things. I don't know if all of those stores are there, but I'm not really sure all of those people were that internet savvy. I will say this: at Time Tunnel in San Jose, Joe Castro and his wife, what they did during COVID is they had an online presence. And they actually told me that they survived by selling all their stuff online. But since then, they have opened up and they still have a ton of stuff. I'm hoping that when we go back one day that maybe that guy won't be there, Matt, but maybe there'll be others.
Yeah, maybe
that's
some
what
new
I'm
stores.
thinking. Yeah, there's got to be.
And seriously, there's thousands and thousands of toys there. So I can't, even if some of these places might have lost a lease, it's got to go in a warehouse somewhere. And then it's like
or to some other owner. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I mean, I still think that we'll get lucky. I think we'll still find stuff over there.
Oh, I think so too. And I think that there are probably a lot of places. Well, I know there must be that we didn't go to.
Oh, sure.
Not only in, I mean, first of all, there are so many other places in Tokyo that we have yet to experience, but then there are all the other cities. It'd be great to get on the Shinkansen and go to some place and like, hey, let's spend a day here finding the tiniest stores. Yeah,
and there are books now that will guide you to these places.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. And Mark, if you and Aaron can join us for the next trip, I mean, oh man, how much fun would that
be? That'd be amazing.
Oh my God. I mean, we would love to. I mean, it's like I don't think. Forgive me, Aaron, for speaking about you when you got there, but I don't think Japan was necessarily on her list until you and some other friends that have gone and had different experiences. It just sounds like such a lovely place. The people are so friendly.
You'd love it.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, it would be great to go with people who know their way around.
Right.
And know things to go see. And it would just be a ton of fun. I would love to go through those stores. As a matter of fact, have any of you guys been to Hong Kong?
No.
Oh, no.
A few years before COVID, I mean, you're talking about this, and I don't know why I didn't bring it up before, but I went there with my wife, my father-in-law, my sister-in-law on a family trip. And while we were there, it's like, this is a toy place. I should look some things up. So, of course, I'm not like you guys. I'm not nearly smart about these things. So I'm in the hotel on the Wi-Fi trying to figure this out. And it was amazing what I did find. I'm sure I barely scratched the surface, but there were these toy marts and things like that I think you guys would have absolutely lost your minds at.
Oh.
The way you were describing it, it's like, well, like Hot Toys had a corporate office there. And so you could go up and they had the display room and things like that. But then they had these other things that it's just a generic office building, like the thousands of others crammed in there and whatnot. You go up to the 3rd or the 8th floor or wherever it is, and you get off and it's this dingy kind of unkempt space. And you go around the floor in a circle and it's all of these little stores. Hundreds of them, all mashed together. They're like the size of a telephone booth. And it's incredible. And they're just jam-packed full of stuff. I had no idea what I was looking at, but I was fascinated by the entire thing. So, I mean, I think you would love it there too. I don't know if it's, on
one of my very first trips to Tokyo, maybe my second or third trip, I had bought so many vinyls that I had to get another suitcase. I went to Don Quixote, which is like this 24-hour department store, and I bought another suitcase. And I go to Narita Airport, and they're checking me in, and I see this official guy, and he's kind of looking at my bag, and I'm thinking, oh shit, is there some sort of tax deal here? Should I be worried? And he goes up to me and he goes, a lot of this you could find cheaper in Hong Kong.
Really?
No.
And ever since then, I was like, I got to go to Hong Kong. But I love that. That was the takeaway from that.
Right. Maybe he was
But isn't
collecting
it-
too.
Yeah.
Isn't finding it in Japan part of the
Oh,
joy of it too?
Imagine what happened here.
And then Mandarake as a chain, when you go, because they have all these different levels and stores, and one store has anime and another one has movie memorabilia or whatever, and then there are toys, and then
Right.
there are new toys, and then there are used ones. And the used store, I don't know how many times I found something that would, on eBay would go for a couple $100, and that's not including the postage
Yeah.
that you get for what the equivalent of $25.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that's happened again and again and again and again.
It's insane.
And then on top of it, the currency exchange makes things worth your while as well. So
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, it's a wonderland. It really is. And between all the nerd stuff that you can experience, and then the food, which is like off the charts, and how wonderful people are there. I mean, it was just everywhere we turned. And even when we were being maybe a little slightly disrespectful in the sense of that maybe we were on a
loud.
train and we were a little loud because we were excited. We were talking about the place we were going. And then like when we went to I think we would just gone to the Godzilla slide, and then we were then going to the Tin Toy Museum, and this couple on the train, the guy leans over and goes, where did you just go? And
Yeah.
so we explained everything to him, and we gave him a flyer to,
They're so excited.
and they were so nice. And I think they also realized like there's a difference between someone being a loud American jerk,
Right.
someone who was just excited to be there.
And Mark, just to let you know what's so neat is that wasn't the only time that happened. That's happened several times. Do you remember we were at the train station? The guys with uniforms came up, and they wanted to ask us about why we're here. Why we're here. They
matching T-shirts.
And yes, and it was just so fun. And then there was the guy in Asakusa. Remember the guy we gave the keychain to?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Monster Party. Yeah. I mean, this happened on a regular basis, Mark.
The guy with the kid.
The guy with the kid. Oh, in Ultratown.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And it was just like that everywhere we went. I'm sure it's possible to have a bad experience anywhere in the world, obviously.
Sure.
But especially with us, where you're walking into this place with such reverence and joy. And, the last thing in the world we would want to do is disrespect anyone or,
of course. Yeah.
And, being on our best behavior minus our nerdy glee.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that
glee.
really colored our experience. I think that opened people up to us.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
I would figure that with you. I mean, it's like, yes, the energy is loud, but in such a way as that your good nature comes through. I could totally see that. I mean, it's like, and I think we had similar situations in Hong Kong with just people who went out of their way to be nice to us. I mean, we were blocks away from a restaurant. We walked way past it, and we're looking at a map, and this guy who's clearly on his way home from work is like, where are you trying to go? Oh, yeah, well, it's back that way. You know what? I'll walk you back part of the way, and then I'll take you.
Yeah, so good.
And I'll walk you. Let me walk you a little bit more. He ends up walking us to the place and then says, oh, yeah, don't order this. Okay. I mean, so it was just, you get this wonderful, and people just know. And I could bet that people, yes, even if you're loud, they understand. It's
they're forgiving.
Yeah.
The don't order this story reminds me of so many stories I've heard from other people and myself when I have gone to a more authentic Chinese restaurant and I'm ordering things and I go, oh, and what's that? And the waiter will go, you wouldn't like that. You won't. Don't order that.
Yeah, because they have the separate menus.
Yes.
There's one for regular folks, and then there's one for the actual people who know the food. And
and the times that I've went, I'm gonna try it anyway. They were right.
Yeah.
But there's also this cultural element where I think there's this sense of amusement that here are these gaijin, these who actually know who Gamera is and who know who Megalon is, and for them it's like Mickey Mouse. It's like stuff that they grew up with.
Right.
But the fact that we are so into it, they're amused by it. They think it's funny and fun, and that's great.
So we're in Asakusa. We're walking around all these different stalls, and I'm wearing a Kamen Rider black T-shirt, and a number of people. And this is not something you would expect from Japanese people to be outwardly vocal with you, but a number of people went, "Oh, Kamen Rider Black," and they start singing the theme song, and then I don't really know the words, but I'm humming along with them, and we're having a jam session.
That's great.
Over a T-shirt.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. We would love to, again, if you put that together for the special birthday that's coming up, I think there's probably a few in our crowd that are having similar special birthdays. So yeah, that
might as well make the best of it.
It's
going to happen.
That trip was just such a wonderful, we've said, a magical trip. It was a wonderful experience. We had such a blast. And if you're new to the show, listening for the first time, if you check out Monster Party Goes to Japan on YouTube, you could see it. It's an hour long. We shot a ton of footage and we condensed it into this hour-like thing where we do a podcast basically over it, and we explained everything that we see. We covered everything. It was so fun.
Yeah.
It's such a blast. Sometimes I love to watch it just to make myself feel good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been so great. This has been so much fun.
It's just cool, man. Just shooting the shit about Trek and Star Wars and Japan and Godzilla.
It's like we could go on and on and on.
And we will.
And
again,
Mark, thank you so much for being with us.
Yes.
Guys, thank you. This is always a kick for me. Like I've told you in the past, I used to work in the shops. I'd sit there and spend hours talking geek stuff, film stuff with my fellow workers. I don't get to do that anymore because I work at home by myself.
Right. As
so
many
I
people do.
treasure this kind of interaction. So thank you for having me on. I really appreciate
and we love you, and so you'll be back very soon.
I appreciate it.
And Mark, you are an amazing artist, and I know you're constantly working, and you have this show, right?
Yes.
What's this art show?
Well, my wife and I have been. This is our second show. We work with the Sugarman Gallery in Pasadena, California. This is a gallery that is set up right next to the Michael Myers house, actual shooting location from Halloween movies.
Wow.
And it's on the same streets where they shot a lot of the exterior stuff.
Nice.
For the first movie. But it's a horror-themed gallery and whatnot. So she's taken to having guest curators come in. So my wife, Erin Haggerty, and I curated a show last year, and now we're doing one for George Romero. This is our tribute to the films and life of George Romero, specifically centering on Dawn of the Dead, since it turns 25 this year.
Cool.
We've got a lot of interesting stuff. I would say mostly Dawn of the Dead. It's also films that were inspired by George Romero's stuff,
right?
Like Shaun of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead, things like that. So
beaches.
Yes, exactly. How can I forget that? Yeah. And so Mark, we've got a lot of stuff in there from those movies.
So Mark, this is so cool. Where is this? How long is this going on?
The show opened on April 8th, but it's going to May 6th.
Nice.
And if you want to see it, I believe she's open Thursday through Sunday. You can go to sugarman.com is the main website. You can get the information there. Or if you're on Instagram, I believe it's at Sugarman Gallery is the gallery's webpage, Instagram page. And you can get tickets through there and directions to the gallery in Pasadena.
But Mark, let's say you live in another state.
Sure.
And you want to check out, what is this Mark Tavares art all about? How can I see that? Where can I go to check it out?
Multiple ways. Let's see. First of all, there is my portfolio website, which we have talked about on previous visits to your show, cleverly entitled www.marktavares.com. But if you want to, mostly I update Instagram. My Instagram handle is at @MarkTavaresArtist. That's where I'm always talking about whatever's coming up. It's like Monsterpalooza. You guys are going to be at Monsterpalooza.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
See you then. I've actually got a booth in the big main room this year.
Ooh.
Oh.
Because I was informed by Elliot that the 10x10 end cap booths in the other room are because I guess more people are wanting booth space. So
yes.
So he's like, if you want an end cap, here's this one in the main room. So we're going to try in the main room this year and see what happens.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll definitely hook up with each other, and
Oh yeah, no, we'll hang.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so that'll be great. And I forgot about my store. If I sell prints and original art online as well as at the shows. So you can go to shop.marktavares.com, and that's my big cartel store. Yeah.
Awesome.
The most important plug.
Yeah.
The store.
That's right.
Definitely. Thank you.
And let's raise our glasses to Mark Tavares.
Mark Tavares.
Yes, Mark, the great Mark Tavares.
Thank you.
And anything goes, the obliteration. Let's get obliterated.
We've obliterated many topics.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Cheers.
obliterated.
Time for listener shout out.
Shout out.
Anything goes. Shout
It could
out.
be anything.
Yeah.
Any kind of shout out. Whatever you got.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, I want to say I want to do a shout out to Chris Leparini from Northbrook, Illinois. He is a Patreon member, and he is the proud owner of a Monster Party T-shirt that he purchased.
Nice.
Yay.
Chris,
You're gonna look good in it, buddy.
Oh yeah. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening, and we appreciate you being a Patreon member. And of course, as we always say, if you're a Patreon member, you will get free goodies courtesy of Biff Bang Pow and Jason Lindsay.
And Matt
That's right.
Weinhold.
Yeah,
Chris, as
yeah.
you will see, I threw in a couple things. So we hope you enjoy.
Well, let's thank Matt Weinhold.
You know what? Can we thank Matt
Thank you,
Weinhold a
Matt.
few more
Thank you.
times?
I don't want you to feel left out, Matt Weinhold. So thank you
Could we make this a segment?
about Matt Weinhold.
Thank Matt Weinhold.
Because we don't talk about Matt Weinhold enough.
Yeah, I
So
think
thank you. Thank you, Matt. Thank
You know what?
you.
Larry,
Sean, did you say thank you?
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, man.
thank you all, everyone.
And as I mentioned, Monster Party merch is still available on our eBay store. We've got T-shirts, we've got caps, we've got shot glasses, we've got PPE masks. And if you're a Patreon member, you get free goodies. Now, Matt, how do you join Patreon? How does that work?
Well, I'm just happy that you now know what Patreon is, because I've had to
Yeah.
explain it many times before, but there could be some of our audience members who might not know exactly what the whole Patreon experience is about. What it is it's kind of a place where anything goes. Anything
Ooh.
Monster Party. What we're talking about is bonus material from Monster Party. So that means audio episodes, our shows like Larry's Toy Time and everybody else's Toy Time, Monster Party masterpieces. And so we have a lot of stuff like that. Then we have our Japan trip that is a multi-chapter omnibus of videos. And it's a whole lot of fun. You'll feel like you're there. And then there are story collections that my stepfather-in-law, John Bordeaux, puts together, a vintage sci-fi and horror. So we have a lot of stuff. We're always looking for something else to throw at you. It's a good time. And so I suggest you immediately join Patreon, because it'll fix what ails you.
Well, it sounds amazing, but when I think of anything goes, my budget goes out the window. So
Nice.
I'm usually
Nicely
left
done.
I'm usually left with $0 or very, very little. Doesn't sound like something I can really afford.
Well, I could see you might have trouble with what I'm about to say if you have $0.
Well,
But if you have slightly more than $5, maybe to cover food for that day, but
Okay.
all you really need is $5 a month, and you are in like Flynn.
oh,
Wow,
that's it.
That's
Yes.
crazy. You can't get like a square foot of like a shag rug swatch to go into your spaceship for $5.
Also nicely done.
That's
John.
true. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and really in the future, that kind of carpeting will be free, because there is no money in the Federation unless
That's
there
true.
is. When you watch Star Trek, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
Right.
Well, it's a deal. How does one join?
all you got to do is you go to patreon.com, you go to Monster Party, you click join, you follow the instructions, and next thing you know, you'll be skipping down the street like a youngster.
Such a deal. Such a deal. Let's remind our listeners also that we are on social media. We are on Facebook at Monster Party TV, YouTube at Monster Party TV. Our Twitter handle is Monster Party HQ. Instagram is also Monster Party HQ. And hey, whatever platform you're listening to us on, please take a moment and find a way to send us your thoughts, write a review. We would love to hear from you, and we will read it on the air.
But unlike what we did tonight, get specific.
Yeah.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
And keep listening to Monster Party.
It's like gashapon.
You never know what you're going to get.
And it's often disturbing. Mark Tavares is here, and he, in my view, you were where Larry is now, but then somehow you jumped ahead of him in the queue, and I like it. And who knows? Maybe it's some sort of omen for the future.
Yeah. It's the story. It's the story of my life. Mark Tavares stepping ahead of me, cutting in line.
Yeah. You know, it's like you're Jan from the Brady Bunch. Right? They got a new Jan. You remember when they got a new Jan?
Yeah.
It's the new Jan Brady.
So you're saying I'm Jan? Is that what you're saying?
I think I just said that. Yes.
Yes.
You are Jan. You could be Jan.
I'm not sure I like that.
All right. Well,
You're old Becky. I'm new Becky.
would you rather be Oliver?
Well, there was 8 is enough.
Oh, you're going to jump to a different show. Okay. Who are you going to be in 8 is Enough?
I don't know. There's so many kids. I can't remember.
You're not going to be Dad, are you?
Dick Van Patten?
Yeah, he did have a smoking wife.
Only if I'm helping out at the Soylent Green factory.
Is that what you want to do?
Or the deputy in Westworld.
There you go.
I thought about
the
that.
new law.
It wouldn't be, think about it. If you had a job, I could do that job, welcoming people. Hi, what color?
Seriously, Larry, you would be great for that job.
True.
Because I would take it seriously.
Of course you would.
You're going off to, end it all.
Yes,
and
right.
you want to go comfortably, and I'd want to help facilitate in a happy, positive way.
I think you would maintain your composure even if somebody was difficult. Let's just say. At the last minute, they went, "No, I don't want to do this."
Well, then I go, "I'm sorry, you're going."
A calming voice.
I didn't know the movie was going to be this. I'm scared of deer.
Wait. Are you saying that if you were going, no, this is important, because if you were going out, you don't want peaceful, beautiful stuff. You want heavy metal and head banging stuff. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Head banging.
This is what I want
heavy
to
metal.
See. The last things that I watch, I want the Misfits playing and then I want the image. I just want scenes from I Drink Your Blood.
Right.
No, I like this. I think if I was to pitch a series, it would be Larry as the going home guy.
And you know what? It would be like Fantasy Island. And each person that comes in, they want to go out in a different way.
And you'd make sure that you buck the administration to make sure that they got what they wanted.
And what about that guy who says, "You know what? I want to go out with a bunch of buxom blondes all around me, smacking their chests in my face."
Smacking their chests in my face.
Right. Chest. I love it. I love any time an adult calls a woman's upper body the chest.
The chest area.
Or chesticles.
In a sexual way.
Come on. We're mature adults here. But anyway, go ahead.
Are we?
For long.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark Tavares. So happy to see you. So happy you could make
welcome.
Well,
Welcome,
Mark, it's great to see you. But wait, you didn't finish your story though.
Which story?
About the women, and you weren't going to say something
about the chest.
Yeah, were you say there was a room there?
Tonight's episode: women and their chests.
No.
I mean, all I was
come
gonna
on,
say,
Shawn.
Larry. All I was going to say is this: is that in reality, you know that probably the most requested footage at the end of your life is not the trees and the waterfall and all that.
Right.
It's some sick fucking porn.
Yeah.
And welcome, Mark Tavares.
Now we can welcome, on that note, we could go on and on.
Hey, Mark.
So thanks for making it.
Hi,
fun.
guys.
How's it going?
How's it
Pretty
going,
good. How
man?
you doing? How you doing?
How you doing?
How's the show going?
It's going pretty well. We had an interesting opening night. The gallery owner, we opened on April 8th. And so the gallery owner was like, tells us the day before, we'd only sold like maybe 15 tickets. And I'm like, oh God, this is going to be terrible. She's like, no, it's not a big deal. It's fine. And sure enough, the next day she sold like another 30 to 40 tickets. So we had, and then there were a lot of walk-ins and things like that. But what we'd forgotten was that it was Easter weekend. So
True.
all these people have left town to go visit with family and things like that, and spring break too.
But that's a really great. I mean, I don't know if you purposely themed the opening for Easter, but it's perfect. I mean, the symbolism is right there. People rising from the dead.
And, well, Mark, can you tell us what?
Eating of their flesh and all
And
that.
can you tell us what this art thing was?
Sure. It's a group art show, an art exhibit tribute to George Romero, specifically concentrating on, or more of a launching point, Dawn of the Dead. And it's 45 years old this year. So
Wow.
that's what we decided. But we opened it up to all of his movies. So if you like anything from Martin to Monkey Shines, you could do artwork for it.
How many Knight Riders pieces are there?
Zero.
I
know.
I should just ride in on my my motorcycle.
It's like a lance.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's mostly Dawn of the Dead because, I mean, we send out a pitch letter to all of our artists and we tell them what the theme is. And we tell them specifically that this movie is a launching point. But I think a lot of them kind of like, oh, okay, Dawn of the Dead. And they just get that locked in their heads. It's like, no. And then some will ask, like, is it okay if I do a creep show? It's like, yes, do whatever you want.
On your Facebook page, I saw some of the amazing artwork on there. It's great. Aaron's stuff too. Yeah.
And she sold, which was amazing. This is her first time selling a piece. And she does fabric art, quilting and things like that. So she did a small quilted wall hanging of Tarman from Return of the Living Dead, because we also included that. We said films that were inspired by Romero's zombie epics and stuff. So we did have a couple of Shaun of the Dead pieces, a couple of Tarman. So Aaron's piece was Tarman holding a balloon that was in the shape, or letting go of a balloon that was in the shape of the heart. I didn't even realize it was a riff on Banksy. So it's like, she calls it Tarski,
I wouldn't have known that. But it's great. I mean, without knowing, it sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it was very cute. And the fabric she picked, she's got a ton of Halloween printed fabric for her quilts.
Of course.
And she found one that was like basically just a sheet of brain matter. It's just all sorts of convolutions like a giant brain.
That's awesome.
So she puts it on there. She quilted it all. Yeah, it's just amazing. So
wow. We've talked about Dawn of the Dead numerous times, but I think the last time we were talking about it, we were commiserating over the fact of how it was this thing that we couldn't see.
Yeah.
And then when you finally see it, you're like, holy shit. I didn't even know that was allowed.
Yeah.
Like the first time somebody gets a big chunk taken out of their neck, and then the piece is still in the guy's mouth.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that and going, this is a whole new world.
It's like,
You guys saw it earlier than I did, because I had only heard about it forever. There was, I don't know what the case may be, but basically when I grew up in Boston, I don't know of any place that was either playing it or like when the video revolution hit where I could rent it from, because nobody really had it. Right. And I was just told either through, I think there was an article in Questar magazine. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
I remember seeing, this new movie. It's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, which I had also not seen at that point in my life. But I knew of it. It was just part of the culture.
Right.
And you see all the pictures in the magazine of the zombie holding the gun and other, goofy things like that. And I thought, okay. But then people were telling me it's like, oh yeah, it's this really sick and twisted movie, man. I mean, heads get blown off and people, like you said, take a chunk out of somebody's neck. And so it's like, people are getting sick when they watch it. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Right.
I read the book before I ever saw the movie.
Wow.
I read the book. And
Okay.
it was that book it was a soft cover. And in the middle of it, it had, I don't know, 6 to 8 pages of color photographs. in the middle.
Right.
And the book scared me.
Yeah.
You get to those color photos, and one of them is the head exploding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit.
I read the script to the off-Broadway show first. Then I saw the movie. It was like, whoa, this is amazing.
That's funny you should say that, John, because the first time I was introduced to Dawn of the Dead, it was just the songs from that musical. It was just
Right.
none of the book. I didn't get any of the book. So it was
Just the
all out of
soundtrack.
context. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it was at an art house theater,
Really?
and the place was packed. And it was one of those things where I'm sitting in the middle of the rows, and the rows are really tight and stuff. It's like when you sit down, and you watch a movie, and I know we've all seen it many times, but when I saw it for the first time, there are things that you're seeing that you've never seen before, and it's like I got to get up and get out. You couldn't. It was like a roller coaster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hey
You're
man,
on. Once it starts.
Exactly. You are on. You got to go with it, and it was really no way to get up and I need to go to the bathroom or be out and get a breath of fresh air. You couldn't.
Right.
I saw it at the St. Francis in San Francisco, and it was a midnight showing.
Nice.
And this theater was not a nice theater. It was a rundown, shitty theater, but it's packed.
Yeah.
And it comes on, and then you got like everybody. It was almost like Rocky Horror, where people were interjecting stuff, indicating stuff was going to happen, like before it was going to happen. So, I'm watching it, and then somebody goes, "Screwdriver in the ear! Screwdriver in the ear!"
Right.
And then there's a screwdriver in the ear.
Yeah.
No.
The first time I saw it was when they released Night Riders, at least in New York. They released it at some point with Dawn of the Dead as a double feature. And I saw it at a multiplex. It was only 4 theaters. It's called the UA Quartet in Flushing, New York. And the theater was practically empty. And those are 2 long movies. I mean, I was sitting in there for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And Night Riders was first, but what I was really waiting for was Dawn of the Dead. And
Right.
then I ended up seeing it at a midnight show with my stepdad, and he had never seen it before. And then we walked out, and he was going to University of Massachusetts at the time, and all he wanted to talk. His takeaway was, well, this is what happens when society is forced to change and people aren't prepared for it. And I'm just like, yeah, but what about the motorcycle guy getting his guts ripped out? But yeah,
that's what that scene was about as well.
Right.
That's drastic change, James.
That's true.
My intestines are on the outside now. How am I going to?
How do you adapt?
Yeah, how do you adjust?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What are the social niceties of that? When you just have them hanging out, and
But this is all great stuff. But maybe we should, because isn't this like one of our?
This is a freewheeling.
It's freewheeling, so let's do freewheeling.
Yeah.
And
Erin's going to join us whenever, right?
She may not actually.
Okay.
It turns out so you're just getting me tonight. I'm sorry, guys.
No,
great.
that's fine. That's fine.
Fucking yay.
We were hoping for a skirt tonight, but hey.
Just FYI, I was looking at. I believe this is our 4th Anything Goes episode. We had our first regular Anything Goes back in 2018 with Bruce Smith. Then in 2019 we had Anything Goes the Halloween edition with Jason Lindsay. And then we had Anything Goes The Reckoning with Sue Murphy in 2020. I thought maybe we could call this one Anything Goes The Obliteration.
I like that. I have an alternate suggestion. I'll go with the will of the room, but anything goes on and on and on.
No, I like John's much better.
Okay.
But I like you throwing some shit, seeing if it sticks, and it. I
got Tavares.
Yeah, you did. Now, how many times has Mark been with us?
111 times, I believe.
Oh,
3
no,
times.
that's not
I think
true.
2 or 3. This may be the 4th. I think the last one was maybe a topic free for all.
It was a topic, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yes, because Aaron was she was picking our subjects.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, also you can also count the couple of Comic-Con episodes.
I don't know if you're counting those. Yeah.
People, but he was in some of those too. But I think as a regular bona fide guest, I think this may be the third or fourth. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the fourth Anything Goes, official Anything Goes.
Unless you count the Comic-Con one, which was the very first Anything Goes.
Well,
Was that really? Oh, I guess
Well,
I think of that
that's
more as a
Anything Goes.
Comic-Con though. But yeah.
Why don't we not say the volume?
no, because
No, we never do anyway. We haven't been
All
doing
right,
that
well
anyway.
then,
So yeah.
Now I'm set then. Anything Goes, the Obliteration.
Okay.
All right. I'm in. So here we go.
It's a blowout.
It's a swindle.
And Mark, you know how the game is played here.
No, he has
Oh,
no
no.
idea.
Kind of, sort of. Actually,
He's heard a couple of the shows, you know.
I have a couple. Yes, a couple of them. Actually, just refresh me, just so I'm on the same page
Oh my
with this
God.
stuff.
So
Now
what's going
you-
to happen?
Now you
What's going to happen
Pandora's
is
box is open.
Matt is going to use his little creepy voice to
Little creepy
introduce-
voice. Little creepy voice.
introduce the show. We introduce ourselves. We say what the topic is, and then we're going to say who our guest is, and that's when we're going to go to town. Okay. And I think this is going to be kind of loose. I don't really think that there's like an order.
Loose.
Larry has decreed, but this is going to be loose.
I'm not decreeing.
So how do you take
This is
turns
not-
with
this-
Anything Goes?
This is not a dictatorship. It's a democracy.
Larry,
Well, I was familiar with the whole
Anything
opening
goes.
part. That wasn't what I was questioning.
what's your question then, Mark?
No, when you said Anything Goes before, I didn't know if there was a specific
No,
starting
it's-
point or anything. It's
It would-
No,
I would-
it's literally anything
We
goes.
just talk about what's a rap session. That's
Right. We
Sounds
would
good.
prefer if it's genre related. I wouldn't go
Oh, of
into,
course.
Yes.
you know,
Like interiors
the
or
murders
Anything
you
goes.
committed or
Wall Street
any
in
of
her
that.
career.
Although that's kind of genre.
Blackfish.
No
Yeah,
Avatar.
well.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Wait, whoa. What? You didn't like Avatar? Did you see it? On the big
I have
screen?
not seen the new one because I was very underwhelmed by the first one
Oh,
10, 20
really?
years ago whenever it came out.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. It's
Oh.
amazing that some people don't like Avatar. I can't believe it.
Yeah. All the billions of people who went
Yeah.
and spent their money.
I know.
To make
How can that be, Larry?
a-
How can it be that a movie that makes money may not be that great? How is it possible?
It's
They're
a good
Avatar
one.
gets.
In what universe, in what world is
What?
that possible?
What you
Oh my God, I love
in
you guys.
our universe, and there are a lot of people who go, "Hey, that is like the coolest
Hey.
thing I've ever seen." You know,
Yeah,
you're
there's
just
a lot
hanging
of
out.
people who like bright lights and flashy objects, and it's
No
the
story.
cinematic jangling your keys in front of a baby.
Well, this has been great.
This is great. We can go
And we
on
could go
and on
about paper thin characters, and yes.
Yeah, no,
Why don't
no
we
thanks.
we can save our Avatar conversation for when we
Another
get
time.
into this. So
Yes.
why don't you get to this, Matt?
I was
please?
trying, but
No,
apparently
I'm-
Mark Tavares needed to know how our show works after
Yes.
listening to 150 episodes.
No. I am trying to assist our wonderful guest,
All
even
right.
though he didn't see Avatar. Second one.
I didn't either.
Near
I'm waiting for it to come to
What?
Viewmaster.
I actually did watch it.
on streaming or some illegal method.
Illegal
Well, don't-
method.
don't-
Oh, okay.
What are you a narc?
James.
What the fuck, Sean?
I wasn't gonna pay for that.
So did you pay for it, James?
No.
James.
Oh, come
Wow,
on.
don't trust
do you want from
yourself.
me?
Don't get your
What?
bong out around Sheridan. He's got your number.
But
He's one
a
of the mod
bonger.
squad.
Isn't he a bong guy too? Isn't he like?
So he presents himself.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, maybe Sean is just pretending. to be,
Narc.
Hey, let's
Undercover.
smoke some reefer. Hey.
What are you guys
That would have
talking
been
about?
that would have been Sean Sheridan. That would have been Sean Sheridan
What?
if he was in an episode of like Dragnet. Hey, I'm Sean Sheridan. I'm Mr. Reefer. Hey kids. You want
Look at
your
that
brain to go
reefer. Look at that
kablooey?
reefer right there,
Look
man.
at that.
Look
Oh.
at that.
What is that?
Ooh, that's a reefer.
That tampon.
That's a reefer, Larry. Have you seen one before?
Me too. I thought it was a tampon, but why are you showing your tampon?
It's a reefer,
It's a
man.
tam-
I'm
it's a
lighting up,
tampon
man.
for the
Come
mind.
on.
Oh,
it soaks
okay.
up all the badness in your
Tampon
head.
for the
Okay,
mind.
please, let's
That's
start going.
brilliant,
If you-
man.
if you
Write
can-
that down.
I am drinking a cocktail.
I'm
Thank you.
reefing it up and I'm having a beer, man. How about
yeah.
that?
I'm on
I'm
bath
done.
salts.
You know why?
And
You know
double
why?
fisted.
Because this is called Monster Party.
Uh-huh.
What
Yeah.
are you
For that-
doing?
It's not
Yeah.
for squares.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm sitting on a vibrating egg right now. So let's go.
A large vibrating egg.
and on that,